conference to talk about the schedule, which is not very clear, even if we just received a few minutes ago a press release from ACE, which I will read in a few minutes. There will be a few statements this morning, and then if you want to ask questions, you will have to stand up, come to the mic, wear a mask, and ask your question from the standing mics here. So, with us this morning is Francesco Longanesi, who is the CEO representative of COR, Alessandra Pandarese, General Counsel for COR, and Ian Murray, the Regatta Director. So just a couple minutes ago, you didn't see it. There is a press release by ACE, which I will read. It's quite long, but I will have to read it, because now the situation has changed a bit. While America's Cup event is encouraged by the news that Auckland has come down to COVID alert level 2, one step closer to level 1, potentially early next week, it is clear that COR are determined to remain inflexible to a change in the race schedule against the interest of the public and commercial benefits to the city and businesses. ACE has constantly maintained our preference to have the best opportunity to race at alert 1, not 2. So the chair of American Cup event, Tina Simons, said, "This is a disappointing situation. It is my responsibility to do my best to run the event with the best interest of the public and all stakeholders in mind. So with the current impasse, while not agreeing with the change of record, we want to see the regatta completed on the water. ACE now considers the best solution that can be hoped for is to continue racing this weekend, which will at least allow as much opportunity as possible for the public to enjoy the viewing in small gatherings or via the TV broadcast. Since Sunday, we have worked really hard on behalf of everyone in Auckland and all Kiwis to give COR the opportunity to demonstrate some honor and respect for this country and delay the Prada Cup until we have a greater chance of everyone being able to enjoy and benefit from being back into level 1, explained Simons. Clearly, they have forgotten the word of their leader, Patricio Bertelli, at the opening press conference, who spoke about how privileged everyone is to be in Auckland without significant COVID restriction, and that therefore everyone has a commitment and responsibility to deliver great sportsmanship on the Prada Cup to be a major sporting event. This plea has fallen on deaf ears, and it's clear that their focus is solely on Luna Rossa taking the Prada Cup rather than the greater good of the country, who have worked so hard in order to be in a position to stage this event, Simons concluded. With this in mind, racing under COVID-19 level 2 can continue with the following restrictions. That means we can race. Race course B and C will not be used for racing. To mitigate the chance of large public gathering on shore, which are in line with government level 2 restriction. No public viewing opportunities such as duck-out shows or public screening of racing in the village, including gathering of no more than 100 people in the America's Cup race village or public spectator vantage points around Auckland. Limited village activations to ensure no more than 100 people. 2 meters physical distancing and face mask recommended. All bar, restaurants and cafes surrounding the race village can remain open in line with the Ministry of Health COVID-19's level 2 guidelines. Public are reminded to always scan NZ COVID-19 Tracer app. That's a press release we just received. So, Francesco Longanesi, what is your comments on that?
Well, it was a bit unexpected, I may say. It just arrived 3 minutes ago. And, well, I welcome this decision. I welcome the fact that a reasonable approach has been taken towards the calendar. I disagree totally with the fact of the sporting comments that Tina Simons has made. Firstly, because in my view, anything that has to do with sporting fairness relates to the respect of the rules, of the regulations, and this is what we're doing, and this is what we wanted to implement. Secondly, we want to respect the government provisions regarding the COVID situation and the protocols that have been agreed with the organizers, with ACE, and are in place, and which allow the racing to go on under level 2. Thirdly, the fact that they comment that COR is just pushing for Luna Rossa, I disagree, because the opportunity of racing gives Ineos more chances to win races and to win on the water the competition. If we were delaying the racing, the chances for Ineos to recover their current scoring would be minor. I also remind you that Luna Rossa in 2003, during the semi-finals, was faced to a similar situation because due to the weather conditions, the time was expiring and the deadline of the last race was well before all the races were completed, and Luna Rossa was eliminated because of this rule. So we don't want this rule to apply again with Ineos and to go up to the 24th of February when the game will be over and Luna Rossa has 4 wins. So it is exactly the contrary. The approach that we have is to go on the water as soon as practically possible, including perhaps tomorrow. We are in speeches with the authorities to see whether we could implement already the racing tomorrow. We don't know yet. Perhaps Ian Murray can be more specific about that. But in order to give the maximum number of races and to give to Ineos and Luna Rossa a fair game.
Thank you. So Ian, do we race tomorrow or Saturday? What do you think?
Well, we have a press release that says we can race on Saturday and Sunday. So I think racing tomorrow is probably unlikely. One of the requirements for us is that we has been very consistently there from the beginning, is to maintain a safe on-water operation, and that relies heavily on, over 100 volunteers to that have been trained to man the safety marshalling boats around the course. So we had a meeting this morning to discuss that, and obviously there are because these people are volunteers and some of them are in some restrictions and bits and pieces, there's a fair bit to work through there. So the marshalling program is working through that and trying to make sure that the numbers and the vessels that can support the exclusive racing area out on the course is done so, but we don't expect to have an outcome on that till later today. So we just have to wait and see. So, I welcome the news that we can go sailing on Saturday. That provides us with 5 days. We're looking at potentially 7 races left on the table, and we can only race 2 races a day. So that gives us opportunity to do that, and hopefully we can, bring it home on the 7th more race to have an exciting competition and to decide the victor on the water.
Do you mean you are already giving up on racing tomorrow, or we still have a chance this afternoon? What time should we know? What time should we know?
I don't know the timing. We're waiting for others to get back to us. So, from what I've seen over the last few days is that we've had disagreement over when we can go to the water and when we can't go to the water. What I see is we have agreement we can go on Saturday, so I'm not hopeful that we will resolve disagreement to go to the water tomorrow in the remaining time today. So it's not to say that we can't, and if everything is in place and there is agreement later in the day, but I'm not controlling those discussions.
You don't sound very optimistic that we race tomorrow, though.
No, I'm not.
Okay, we'll know today later. Alessandra, what do you think of the situation?
I think that, good morning everyone, certainly I think that it has been a good news to know that after really intense days, these 3 days, to talk with ACE, to convince them that the situation was the environment allows us to racing, particularly after the decision of the government last night to decrease the level from 3 to 2. I think we have to take this opportunity to maybe have some clarity on the framework of the various regulations and how and why COR has acted as is acted. One point that has been very critical also in the public comments has been about obviously the primary scope that is that of protecting the health of New Zealand. Yes, we are really thanks to the authority here for what they are doing, the fact that we are able to work and deliver this event for the New Zealand and for the teams and for everyone. And the reason why we have been working since last year when we were in lockdown in Italy, and we know exactly what it means. With ACE, we have worked, and the authorities through ACE on protocols of management COVID emergency. And that has been all along from last summer. There was document when we landed here. We first stick for every moment all the rules, each of us, without any problem, because we know and we knew that, and we know now that this is our goal. If we want to carry on this event, we have to stick with the protocols about the COVID management plans. And it was issued the first one in November. We have a group of people of COR and the authorities and the ACE working together for this protocol. We have 4 people that are dedicated to that, and all the people that are managing on the water, on shore, they perfectly are aware of those protocols. This protocol has been in place since day one we were here. And has been, of course, very clear that there are 3 categories of alert. 1, 2, 3. In this protocol, it says clearly that 1 and 2, there is sailing automatically with a certain protocol to be put in place. In alert 3, you have to ask for a specific exemption. So we were ready as COR to support every step of this. Now, as soon as we had the information last night that the level was from 3 to 2, then it was for us very logic that the event would have carried out the next day. And that was very surprising to us to hear that the ACE would have not been able to meet the commitment and carry on with the support necessary on the water. Therefore, the regatta director was forced to delay another day of the racing due to lack of support. Let me also explain what is the relation between COR and ACE. Under the protocol, COR is, as a challenge of record, is responsible to conduct racing, specifically the Prada Cup and the preliminary events, but that now we are running in the Prada Cup. So we are under the protocol, under the America's Cup rules, we are the organizing entity to conduct Prada Cup. However, Since the relationship with the authorities is run by the local company ACE, which is the organizing entity set up by the defender for running the events locally, has entered in the agreement with the host. So they technically and legally have the obligation towards the host to comply with any rules and any task, any commitment they have to give safety on the water, including the COVID, but also safety on the water in terms of marshalling and all this. We have as COR, of course, we support them, but the main responsibility is on them. So we need their cooperation to carry on this, the races in a compliant way. And this relationship is very, very critical for us. And we have asked in these 3 days to follow the direction of COR, which is the entity obliged to do that towards the challengers, the team. And so they have following we have asked to do that. And finally, I think that this decision of carrying on at least on Saturday and Sunday, and we will try to do racing on Friday as much as we can for the same reason. I hope that I've given you enough information for the, after all this email and exchange of press release. Thank you.
Thank you, Alessandra, quite clear. But if there is if one day there is a disagreement between ACE and COR, which jurisdiction is in charge of that?
I mean, if there is no agreement and there is no support in terms of organization on the water, the regatta director, as he did yesterday, can only take into account that there is no enough safety or anyway means and on the water support, and then has to delay the race. If the races are delayed day after day, and we run in the last day possible of the Prada Cup, which is the 24th of February, there is no other choice than award the title and the Prada Cup to the teams that have the highest score, which is at the moment Luna Rossa, okay?
Thank you, very clear. Questions, please? If you have a question, please come to the mic and keep your mask. You, yes, please.
Abby Wilson from TVNZ. Francesco, in that release, Tina says that she was giving the challenger of record a chance to demonstrate honour and respect for this country. She's almost implying that by not allowing a delay, you guys aren't displaying honour and respect. What would be your response?
I totally disagree. We honour and respect this country, and as I said, and I keep saying, we're in heaven and we're privileged to be here and to be involved in such a great event. I don't think that the fact of insisting to respect the calendar and the rules is a dishonour and disrespect towards the country, quite the opposite.
Do you think it's unfair of her to say that then?
I think so, yes. It's a very unfair comment.
Thank you.
It's a populistic comment, most of all, like many of the press releases that have come out from that organization.
Does this frustrate you that you get a release sort of 10 minutes before a press conference?
5 minutes.
5 minutes before.
I don't comment.
Todd Neal.
Sorry, I'm a little confused because I've never understood that the disagreement was over whether you had the right to continue racing or not. It was about a request to push the whole calendar out. So given that the event is only possible because of the way that New Zealand has managed COVID, what was the difficulty with pushing the whole calendar out?
Ian, you want to answer that, or?
Well, I think it's a cool one.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, well, the fact is that the rule is there, and the last day, which is foreseen in the rule, is the 24th of February, and that's it. I mean, it's you can't change the rules just because if you're not going to change the height of the goal post because you have a small goalkeeper. Say for the sake of argument that we would have had 10 days of calm, wind or storm, and we would go towards the 24th. Would you stretch the calendar? No. It's just what happened to us in 2003.
But the 24th, with all the other, I mean, some rules have been changed. Was the 24th not able to be shifted by agreement in line with what was
yes,
proposed?
But we didn't. Yes, but the COR didn't agree to shift it.
No, exactly. Yeah.
No, but
Thank
then
you.
I can add something on this. The question here is that we have an event that is already started. We have awarded points in a race. The rules clearly states and handle the issue whether there is no possibility to carry on and conduct the event. And that could happen, as Francesco was saying, for any reason. Could be earthquake, too strong wind, less wind, too little wind. That's what it happens. The race might be, rescheduled, postponed the day after, until the calendar is allow you. If not, there is a rule say what the consequences are. Full stop. That's so the point of shifting the calendar is not even in question.
Yeah, but I just wanted to clarify that the rule the date and the rule could have been changed, but for whatever reason, you didn't agree to that.
There is no point in changing the rules. The calendar has been made early in advance and take all the consideration, all the events that could happen during the event.
Thank you.
It was a matter of long discussions, the calendar, and it was agreed by the defender, the challenger of record, and accepted by all the competitors. So since months, and there is no reason to change it.
Thank you, Duncan.
Duncan Johnson Stuff, a question for Francesco. When it went down to level 2, today, Thursday, was technically a reserve day. Would you have liked to race today, and would you like to race tomorrow?
Yes.
Yes to both?
Yes to both.
Okay. And just a quick one for Ian. Given the limitations of spectator crowds on land, what are you expecting out on the water? Because presumably people can still go out in their boats. You think there'll be a larger spectator fleet out there on the weekend?
Well, it's hard to make it much larger, you know. It seems like just about every boat in Auckland goes out to watch. Even last weekend out on Corsi, where the bigger race course and spread around, there was a huge amount of boats there. There will be some limitations, obviously, on the bigger ferries that won't be able to carry more than 100 people. So the head count on those, I suspect, will be limited. But this is an intriguing competition, and I expect just as many boats to come out to what's likely to be Corsi on Saturday.
Thank you.
Thank you, William. LSD.
William Reid, live, sail, die. As a spectator, I'd prefer to wait, but as a sailor, I'm used to waiting around for breeze anyway. Local yacht clubs are resuming racing, including Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron. Prada Cup will obviously have more logistics, but in principle, how's it any different? That's
Ian?
floor.
Well, look, we've all lived through COVID over a long period of time, and it's treated very differently. As you know, I'm the director of the Australian Olympic sailing team, and we have a very strict view on how our athletes travel overseas and participation in Europe, particularly over the last 6 months. As they haven't been allowed to thing, but the Europeans have been competing in all sorts of places over Europe. So there's clearly very different views around the world about the risk and reward of competing. Being here in New Zealand, living in Sydney, we have managed sailing as an outdoor activity, and I think we've done that in a responsible way by social distancing and everything else. I I think it's very important that people's well-being and their social mindset is kept alive during these periods of time. And so, you know, I'm all for people going sailing. I personally, you know, I've lived through many large documents that describe the protocols to exist in these times, and certainly, you know, our management, both here in Australia, has been good, and people have been able to go sailing. And
classic one would be the JJs, just as this pandemic was kicking off last year.
Yeah, well, that's true. You know, we held Sail GP in Sydney. I was at the 470 Worlds in Palma in March, and it was cancelled the day before the event. So, you know, there's been a lot of events cancelled. But you know, we look at Portugal with the 470 Worlds about to happen, and the country's in lockdown, but it's going ahead. You know, but there won't be any Australian or New Zealanders there. So it's, you know, it's a very personalised thing, and I think, you know, for all of us, we have to live through it. We have to be respectful. We have to be careful, and we have to, you know, there's clear protocols that are good, and you know, we're lucky to have this event. I think lucky to be in New Zealand.
Thank you. One last question from the floor.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yes, Michael.
Michael Burgess, New Zealand Herald. Francesco and, sorry, I've forgotten your name, and Sandra. How would you describe the relationship now between ACE and COR?
Well, I can say that it is a corrente alternata, AC/DC. So it's in certain moments it's very cooperative, very constructive. In other moments it is conflictual. But this is, I think, something that it is inherent to the game, to the America's Cup. The views are not always the same, and therefore sometimes when we differ, we get into a conflictual situation, as it has been in these last 3 days. But in other moments, we are working together, because I think that the interest of both of us is to have a very good America's Cup. Up until now, it has been proven to do so, to be so, also because COR has put a lot of effort, a lot of personnel, a lot of ideas into this game, and I think that this should be recognized to COR, who is, this is sometimes forgotten by the media and so on and so forth.
Thank you. Alessandra, you wanted to say something?
The fact that it's been always conflicting, not easy. It's, as Francesco said, for sure, it's a game. They are somehow a part of Team New Zealand. It's an organization dedicated to the event, but still is in that. On our side, we are the Challenge of Record, which is our scope is to take out the cup from them. So unfortunately, they're always unfortunately, I would say, we have tried always to separate competitive issues, organizational issues. So because our scope as Challenge of Record is to organize and to conduct the racing, and we try not to mix up competitive matters. Unfortunately, that has not always been the case, but you know, we are getting there. With difficulties, but we are getting there. And for the COVID, just let me add this. It's that in these days, Challenge of Record has also offered to use the village, first of all, to block totally the village and our infrastructure from public, and to use our videos and all the infrastructure to communicate the rules on COVID. We have offered this during the ESG meeting last night, so we are still want to be, again, cooperative. There is no, for one single moment, the idea of overpass any of the COVID rules. Actually, we want to implement and help the implementation.
And just to clarify
Thank you.
Todd's question before, was there any other downside to moving beyond the 24th of February? Because I think most Kiwis would think it's not a big deal to move a few days beyond. So is there any downside apart from the fact that it's in the rules about the...
It is in the rules. That's it. I mean, as all sports event has a calendar, and this calendar has its reason to be there, and the dates are planned for the team to race in those days, and there are the rules that governs the effects of any interruption or rule that doesn't allow to race, as for any other. And in this specific case, the rule says that this is the last day.
The idea being
sorry,
that...
Michael, just one thing. I said it at the beginning, and I want to reiterate it. I think that this concept of fair sport is the certitude of the rules, that you put the rules, once they're written, we play with them. And to change the rules towards the path or towards a sport event, I don't think that it is something that is fair. It shouldn't be regarded as unfair. It is fair to play with the rules. The rules are there, you have accepted them, and the fairest thing that you can do in sport is to play with the rules that are set and respect them.
And the reason why we have a deadline for the Prada Cup is very clear and very understandable. The idea is to give the challenger, the winning challenger, the winner of the Prada Cup, enough time to get ready for the match. Do you agree?
Excuse me, but then there is not even the context. We are saying that there is the condition for racing, because Alert 2 allow us to go racing. And the proof of this is that there is plenty of events happening in Auckland, and as this was saying, the sailing, the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron is sailing. So I mean, the issue is not in question. There is no even the starting point for discussing this.
One last question from the floor. Yes, sir.
Christopher Reeve, New Zealand Herald. Just one for Francesco. Obviously, in that first press release ACE sent out, they didn't mention any of these rules or protocols that are in place, but they did mention that Luna Rossa was willing to declare themselves the winner if the delay was in place. Did you feel like they were trying to throw you under the bus a little bit?
Sorry, I didn't understand. I didn't get the...
Did you feel like ACE were trying to throw you under the bus a little bit by not mentioning any of these rules and protocols in that initial press release?
I let you answer to this question.
Well, I mean, I think yes, but I need you to say it.
So,
thank you. Richard, I think last one for you.
Richard Gladwell from Sailworld for Francesco. Are you happy about the racing to start on Saturday and keep going from there as offered by ACE?
yes, I'm happy to. As I said, I welcome this decision, and we would be happy to start to race tomorrow as well, if it's possible. I mean, I'm happy to respect the calendar which has been set for the Prada Cup.
So what's this argument about now that you're happy to race, they're happy to race? Why aren't we just going ahead without having all this discussion on cyberspace?
Exactly, but the only thing is that up until 5 minutes ago, they were not happy to race. And we learned that 5 minutes ago.
Sure, but I mean, the situation's changed, so...
So let's go and
we're
race.
all happy?
Yes.
Great, thank you.
Okay, questions from Zoom?
Yes, we have. Hola. First question is Michele Tognozzi, Fare Vela.
Hi, gentlemen. Good morning. We are very pleased to discover with the last-minute call that in a couple of days, this amazing fight, Luna Rossa versus Britannia, will be back where it's worth to be, that is on the water. That's fair, for sure. And we are waiting for an amazing show. But I want to ask Mr. Francesco Longanesi Cattani if he thinks that there is some kind of relationship between this situation and the rumors that we heard between an agreement between Emirates Team UK and the defender Emirates Team New Zealand looking at the next cycle of the America's Cup? Thanks.
Well, I honestly don't know. I've heard it's something that you say, and I take your comment, and it is something that I've also heard, but it's just gossip. But some people in Rome say that if you think something bad, you're a sinner, but sometimes you're right.
Next one, please.
Next one is Andrea Falcon, Vele Motore.
Yes, this one is, hello. This is for race director Murray. For what I understand, the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron is opening its doors again tomorrow morning at 10, or maybe it's today at 10. They are even going to organize a sailing race, some Nespresso, Elliott, whatever sailing race. So I would like to know, in terms of security and COVID and everything, from the perspective of a race director, what are the differences between a sailing race for the Elliots and the America's Cup?
Well, there's sailing racing happening all over the world, and none of it is patrolled like the America's Cup, and none of it is generally administered within an exclusive racing area. Having said that, you know, there are very few AC-75s roaring around the world in yacht races in excess of 40 knots. I think we've all come to love the AC-75s and their performance, but also respect the fact that, you know, these boats in the wrong hands and intermingled with other racing boats is potentially a very dangerous situation. So over the last 3 America's Cups, there's been and even going back to my first America's Cup in 1983, there has been an exclusive racing area where racing has been conducted. And so as time has gone on, the boats have got faster. There is definitely more danger attached to racing these boats, not only for the crew on board, but for the boats coming in close proximity. It's, you know, I think it's very difficult to make a comparison between a race on a Friday night as opposed to the America's Cup race in an AC-75. So
Andrea is not agreeing.
It seems he doesn't agree.
No, I mean, it was my fault to ask the question in a bad way. I mean, since we are talking about COVID, grade 1, 2, 3 alert and everything, why the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron is allowed to organize a race for the Elliots, and why should not be organized a race for the Prada Cup?
well, I think under level 2, which is the level that we're now in, is that you can race the America's Cup race, and you can race, you know, the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron Club race, as is, you know, their dining rooms open, their clubs open, as is the cafes along the waterfront here. The big change is from level 3 to level 2. I think the part that's been in question is, do we have the support to administer the exclusive racing area?
Thank you. Next.
Okay, next one we have only the audio is Bianca Ascenti, Corriere della Sera online. No more? Eccola.
Sì, Antonio, mi sentite?
Sì, sì, you can go. Go.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Good evening. I have a question for Mr. Ian Murray. If the two teams agree, is it possible to run 3 races a day instead of 2?
It would be a change in the conditions for this race. It's not a matter of the 2 teams. It's a matter of Challenge of Record and Defender agreeing to change the conditions, and obviously I think it would be good if there was consultation between INEOS as well.
The rule currently, sorry if I interrupt, is that the rule says that there are two at the moment, two races a day.
Thank you. Next, one last one.
We have two more, Bruno. Fabio Pozzo, La Stampa.
Sorry. Hello, sorry to everybody, but I lost the beginning of the press conference, and I didn't understand when the races start again, Friday or Saturday?
We will know this afternoon. It's a matter of logistics on the water, and Ian Murray is going to decide this afternoon. That's right?
Okay, okay. Thank you very much.
It's not up to me to decide.
This is what you said.
Well, you know, I think the situation is that the Challenger record and Ace need to decide. Ace has put a position down that starts racing on Saturday, and until the support comes from Ace to change to Friday, I don't see it being possible personally. So I'm not very hopeful of racing on Friday at 11:30 on Thursday.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ian.
One more.
Oh, yes, one more is Francesca Lodigiani, Il Messaggero, but we are trying to connect her. Okay.
Only Italians
yes, okay.
this morning.
Yes, of course.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Hi everybody. Hi, Bruno. A question for Alessandra Pandarese. Alessandra, what is the date of the notice of race?
The notice of race has been issued last year in February.
So it was already under COVID pandemic?
No, no, no. The dates has been set before COVID.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Over. Thank you very much for attending this press conference. And you will soon know whether we race only Saturday or maybe tomorrow. Thank you.
Boom mic.
Then you have ones on made if you do need it. Sorry, I ripped one.
Basically, they all agree they want to go. They didn't tell them until like